So we did our project on the energy in North Africa. The people in our group include myself, Jenn Stevenson, Amber Turner, Trevor Recalla, and Brigitte Theriault. So first what we did is we looked at the countries within North Africa consist of Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya. The population is almost reaching 200 million people in North Africa. We also looked at each country individually, and we found out what their major industries were. So for Egypt, we found they have a major export of cotton resources. For Morocco, they produce leather goods from its livestock resources. Algeria actually refines and bottles olive oil, which is a big export for them. Tunisia exports a lot of wood products, and Libya refines its oil and natural gas resources.
So the residential area of the countries in North Africa are the main consumers of electricity in the countries. So this energy is mainly used for heating and cooling these homes. The common voltage in North Africa is 230 volts with a frequency of 50 hertz, and that's an AC current. So down here we see the map of the countries in North Africa, and you can see that they're bordering the North Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. So over here we can look at the installed generating capacity of 2010 for these countries. So Western Sahara is the lowest, generating capacity at 58,000 kilowatts. Morocco at 6.62 million kilowatts. Sudan at 2.083 million kilowatts. Egypt, the largest, at 26.91 million kilowatts. Tunisia at 3.652 million kilowatts. Algeria at 11.33 million kilowatts. And finally, Libya at 6.766 million kilowatts.
So for this chart, we looked into the energy sources within the energy sources, and we saw what countries use the most oil, gas, coal, etc. So what we found from our research is that Libya actually gets most of its energy from oil, and that's at 72.7%. We also found that Algeria gets their energy from gas, which is at 64.3%, and Morocco actually gets its energy from coal, which is at 31.9%. But we also found the bigger that they actually get their energy from oil, which was at 62.3%. So that's actually their biggest energy source, but then coal is second at 31.9%. And lastly, Tunisia is that they get most of their energy from oil, which is at 48.3%.
Now, the electricity demand is soaring in northern African countries such as Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and Egypt due to the economic development, rising living standards, and other factors, but the existing power infrastructures is severely inadequate to handle it. Now, the total power installed capacity in northern Africa regions was roughly 61.6 gigawatts in 2012, with the renewable energy, mostly hydro, accounting for nearly 10% of that. Now, Egypt is planning to add an addition of an 8 gigawatts of wind, solar, and coal energy. Also, Morocco has recently launched the world's largest solar energy project, estimated to generate 2,000 megawatts of solar generation by 2020. With 5 solar power stations are also to be constructed for this project.
Some of the key points that we noted were that Morocco imports almost all of its electricity. Much of the hydroelectricity in Egypt is generated from Aswan High Dam and the Aswan Reservoir Dam across the Nile River. Libya's power plants are fueled entirely by oil and natural gas. In 2013, 98% of Tunisia's electricity generation came from fossil-fueled power stations, with electric and wind sources supplying only 2% of total generation. Some of the points we also wanted to mention is that Egypt's electric transmission grid is already connected to Jordan, Syria, and Iraq, Turkey, and Libya. Egypt is also part of the Nile Basin Initiative and has tentative plans to interlift its transmission grid with some countries within the organization.
Thank you for listening to our project. Goodbye.